Welcome to another episode of Peers Over Beers, your favorite digital and social evangelist podcast, with your industry veteran hosts, Michael Sandoval and Chris Tetzel. This podcast starts now. Here's I'm one of your hosts, Michael Sandoval.
And I'm Chris Tetzel.
Hello, Chris. I hope you're doing well.
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Excellent. Well, we didn't get a chance to meet last week because I like to use the word holiday, such an British term, but had a little holiday, if you will, in Palm Springs. So it was kind of fun.
Are you from the UK or?
No, I don't know where I got that stupid term. I have a really good friend of mine who's British, and he lives out in Houston, and I think I just picked up a lot of his isms when just so I still call like trash rubbish. I'll say cheers at the end of my mail.
Well, if you think about just kind of the Rexel time, we spent a lot of time in Europe, or spoke to a lot of people in Europe, and everywhere. So some of that rubs off, I'm sure too. And
there's definitely a lot of rubbing. I don't know where that came from.
Okay. Changing the conversation.
Exactly correct. In our pre-show, we were talking about stress, which I found very interesting. And and I don't know I guess when we were talking about it, I guess some piece of me was thinking about it, and the things that go through our day that are challenging. You mentioned a couple. We can kind of review those. And I was thinking about, my stress, right? Or at least work stress overall.
Yeah.
And what was interesting from your conversation, you can tell me now if this is in public view or privy or not, but, it was just around, you're in a situation in which management is kind of changing.
Yeah.
Right now, right? And there's a lot of flux and the like. And if I were to characterize kind of a few things that you said, one was your ground is a bit jello because you're not too sure exactly what the overall direction is. Still kind of
right.
There's one statement that kind of pops through that people are kind of gravitating towards, but a little jello, if you will. Then that creates your management cycle, your management team to also just want to ask for a bunch of information that is not germane, but yet you feel you have to do it. And then the third thing I heard was, because of that, especially now with the community kind of launching, you're having to dip in and out of tactical conversation with strategic conversation, and then right back into tactical, and to kind of switch hit like that very quickly on the fly for some of these conversations. That's stressful. Even for me, just kind of coming in and out. I can do it, but I have to devote time to like kind of pass through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, man, because, I think we're kind of a company with a lot of meetings, and so, I have the great opportunity of being able to go to some of these meetings that they're talking very high level and think, investment levels and all kinds of really cool stuff, it's fun, but it's also a lot of meetings, and then trying to get something tactical done because, when you're in most companies like this, when you're a community manager, you're a team of one. And so, you have to kind of do both the strategic and the tactical kinds of things. And so you got to do, it is what it is. And to be honest, it's hard to focus in on both. And so I found myself like over the last 2 weeks, stressing out in big ways over some things that, my boss was asking for and how to actually make it look and feel. PowerPoint's not my kind of forte. Like it is, I can do PowerPoints, but to get it in these little small boxes and doing all these things and putting them.
Does he have a very particular format?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, he wants everybody to have the same format and stuff, which makes sense. But when I was given a PDF and I'm like, now I got to figure out how to go make it look like that PDF. How about give me a template? Like that gives me the in the boxes. But anyways, so it wasn't just that, but I mean, it was just it's one is anytime you get a new boss, you have to kind of conform to their thinking and understand what they're thinking and how to kind of go accomplish those things. I think he gets that right. I mean, everybody is, and so it's and then I've got people asking me like these tactical things. Hey, Chris, can we do this on the community? Hey, Chris, can we do that on community? Or, hey, I've got to build a content plan and I got to execute on that content plan. And then I got to push out, um, questions and answers. And, I got to get the questions and answers. I mean, it's not, and I get to talk to partners, and so how do I include partners in on this? Maybe we start a community there, or maybe they can help build some original content. Like I have a plan, but then that plan becomes a little, you know, disoriented a little bit when you're having all these conversations everywhere. And then when I actually have time, like at the end of the day or on a Friday, it's like, oh shit, like I'm too tired to really even, like it's so I'm trying to kind of think about how to manage my time, how I have to kind of think about the strategic versus the tactical. I don't want to be tactical all the time. I do obviously want to be strategic in my thinking and make sure I'm focusing on the right things tactically,
Mhm.
so it's just it's a
It's
challenge.
something, yeah, that we were kind of mentioning, this idea about, like, I think a lot about what's currently going on, at least in your view.
Yeah, in my view,
No, because, well,
because that's what we're talking about.
no, because it's such it's a very kind of like VC type company, right? They're just trying to find value, um, or define value. Maybe that's their challenge, right? They're trying to define value. Um, and I wonder, from a community manager's perspective, again, we talk a lot about this idea that you're trying to build the same time, and it sounds like they're already trying to get like success metrics, and you're like, yo, this is like a 6 month, 1 year,
Yeah,
adventure. We talked about, I've got page views. That's
yeah.
about it right now.
And maybe that's the metric you look at. I think one is, and I'm not saying that my boss is extremely smart and I'm sure he knows what he's doing. There's
Of
no doubt in
course,
my
yeah,
mind
yeah.
about that. Um, but I think when it comes to community and metrics, yes, I can pull a bunch of metrics to tell you how many posts are there and threads and things like that, and that's all an important piece of, you know, um, the pie. We want more people to post on the community than we do then go into the support, right? We don't want people to call support. We don't want, and then, but to have all those metrics kind of, I think I just have to figure out what metrics are important to the organization. And maybe that's registrations and page views.
Mm,
I think the key is, are people engaging in the community? And, prove that they're
mm,
engaging is really what kind of he's looking for specifically. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
it does, and it's fascinating. You know what stresses me out at work? This is going to sound funny.
Mm.
Is being on time,
Yeah, you have a hard time doing that.
which is, me. I'm like, mm,
What is on
time.
time?
The time of the day is more like it's a variable.
Yeah.
The time is a variable, but anyway. So my boss is the CEO is a very kind of has a military background. So
Punctual.
he lives his life. I think I talked to you about this. He lives his life very regimented,
Yep.
and believes in hierarchy and structure in some way, right? And so, because I know he's an on time guy, believe it or not, when I show up right at time,
Yeah.
it's pretty miraculous for me. I'll just say
Right.
that,
I
right?
agree.
And so I've been very good at showing up on time. However, that's already too late.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. So I kind of made a smirk around. Like, well, then make the meeting 8:25.
And he's gonna say, "Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah,
You
that's
come."
pretty much. I said it in my jovial, kind of funny self, but I make all this comment because now it's such a thing that
Yeah.
10 minutes before a call, I'm already like stressing out to make sure that I'm there on time, which is kind of weird. It's just a behavioral thing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm afraid to go do something else before a meeting because I'm afraid if I do that something else, I'm going to slip into the task and then completely forget the meeting, which I have done before. But
Really.
it's annoying anyway. Since we're talking about stressors, being on time is one of my stressors.
Well, it's funny. Like I'm very much like probably your boss on the on time stuff, and like a lot of people, you get on a meeting and they're 3 minutes late, and I'm thinking to myself, is this person coming or not? So I'll ping
Mm.
them. Are you coming? You still available? Like I understand that, people are going from call after call after call. And that's another time management issue, right? Like, why are you going from call after call after call?
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. I get that. I
Yeah.
understand. But, you don't have to take every meeting. You don't have
Yep.
to do it's just sometimes you feel like you have to. And I'm starting to get to a point to where, I'm just going to start declining specific meetings unless there's a point of having the meeting,
Yeah, we had to
you
get
know?
to this idea of agenda because we were getting into media. Doing media
Exactly. The
meeting
idea.
hungry. Yeah. But as far as like stressors at a big kind of at a business level, one of the things that constantly stresses me out is, and when we were working together, I don't know if I would vocalize this correctly, but I always questioned the strategy. Right? Is this the right way to go?
Hmm.
Is this the right thing we're doing? I would see some data. Okay, maybe so, but you always have this little thing in the back of your head, like, should I have done A? Should I have done B?
Hmm.
Uh, and for me, and you've seen this work, I can get very much data analysis
Yeah.
paralysis where I just want to have a lot of information so that when I make a decision, it's the most
Yep.
solid point. But sometimes some of these things are a little bit by the gut.
Then it becomes overwhelming, if
It,
you're
it
just
becomes, and that's what it is. It's overwhelming for me, right? It's too much. So that's so that it stresses me out to pull the trigger, if you will.
I'm
I
pretty good
eventually
at
will
pulling
do.
the trigger, dude. I'm just like, go,
Yeah,
you
no, and,
know.
and
I
I and I'm
just
maybe it's this
not
the
always the right thing
engineering.
either, but so
But I was thinking about this from your from your perspective, from your boss's perspective and the like, is just
hmm,
maybe in part of their discussions they don't know what to do, so they're trying to like get all these data to see what is our value, what are we trying to do, and it just stresses everybody around. Because I know when I go through those situations, it just stresses people around me.
yeah.
It's really really damn annoying.
Yeah, I think sometimes though we put that stress on ourselves. It's funny. My brother said the other day, he could because I'm always trying to think ahead. Like, if I do this, then they might think this, or they might think this, or they
A,
might.
a natural way to
And
think.
I'm like,
100%. I'm the same way too.
and Buddy's my twin brother,
Hmm.
and he's a counselor. Interesting enough, he doesn't give me counsel, but in this point, he kind of did. Um,
Like what
he
kind of counselor?
goes,
School counselor or
no, no, no. He's a
like a like
professional
a like a
licensed
yeah
counselor. He
licensed
owns his own
professional counselor?
business, and
LPC?
yeah,
Really? Wow.
he sees 30 or 40 clients every week. It's a
Wow.
lot. Um, and he said, "Why are you spending so much time thinking about something that isn't really a reality at the moment?" He goes, "You're spending way too much time stressing over it. That's all I do is I'll go to bed thinking about all this stuff. And I'm like, I did that at Rexel. You stress me out sometimes.
Quite
But
probably doing the same thing, which was like, how do I figure this shit out?
yeah, yeah, I'm like, so it happens when things like this happen, like, and then you're being asked to maybe do certain things that maybe you've never been asked to do before. And maybe and sometimes I feel like, who do I go to get help with that, or
Correct.
whatever. And I don't have that. Like with you, I look back now and I thought, you weren't going to leave me hanging. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I would never
And
do that. Yeah.
you would kind of let it fester for 2 or 3 days, and then you would see that I was struggling with something, and you would say, "Okay, well, let's get on the whiteboard," or "Hey,
Yeah,
let's
let's
do
talk
this,
it
and let's
through. Yeah.
let kind of
Mhm.
talk this through." So you were very patient with me. Like even Leah she goes, you know, "You're not ever going to have a Michael again, okay, Chris? So so, so quit bringing him up." I was like, all right, fair enough. Sometimes you have to just
Fine.
go out and do it. Well, I mean, if I think about I'm where I'm at today because of people in my life to help me get through certain
Hmm.
things, and one of the people is you, right?
Yeah.
Because you were patient, you taught, you know, I think you saw something in me that was potential there, and you
Mhm.
kind of pushed a little bit and got me to think, you know, like I do now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I still I still kind of struggle with some pieces, so anyways, I don't this is a counseling session or not, but anyways.
No, actually, it was fascinating when you kind of talk. Your brother was right. I think a lot about um, we are our own worst enemy, uh,
Yeah.
where we kind of put up this. we have lenses and we see things in a certain way. A lot of our past kind of brings that up too, where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to get this done because, you know, this father figure or mother figure back here is asking me for this thing and I feel that I
Hmm.
have to do it, you know?
I mean,
But
we're the
that,
same age, so I don't think I ever saw you as a father figure, but whatever.
no, I mean, not you, me. I'm just saying
Just joking.
generally. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. But I did see you as a my boss.
Oh, yeah, a
you know,
mentor or something like that. Yeah, kind of guiding through, if you will.
one
Um,
thing you told me, by the way, not to get completely off,
yeah.
but now I see it differently. So, you're like, Chris, you need kind of a mentor. It can't be your boss or whatever. Just can't. Just it's not how that works. But still, now that I look back, though, you are kind of even today kind of a mentor to me. You help me a lot. And I see you as that. Then I was like, all right, we can ask Michael to he can help me, but he's my boss too. He can't. So
Well, that's what makes those kind of situations why I can't be a boss, quote unquote. I think when I said it, because
probably don't even
you
remember.
want a moment to expand
Yeah,
your thought without the feeling of judgment, right? So, like
yeah,
if you tell your boss is always kind of evaluating you in some way, right?
right. That's
Um,
true.
and so you don't want that to be part of your thinking. You actually want to have the freedom to say, hey, this is a non-judgment. I just am throwing out some ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure exactly what it is. What's kind of your experience that I should kind of meander
Mm,
towards, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
my boss, who's, my old boss, Devish, is, he definitely is one of my kind of mentors. And we
Yeah.
came up with this rule where I would say, and we would never do these conversations ever in the office. It's always out, always in a bar or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would say, I need you to turn your boss hat off, right?
Yeah.
And when I say those words, and even he would say to me too, like, I got it. And we had a really good way of like, from here on out, the conversation has no judgment. I'm not going to apply it to what we've been thinking about or talking about. So I feel like over years that has to be a trust thing because you
Yeah.
can't just do it at the beginning. After years, you begin to develop that.
Yeah. You mentioned something like, you're always being judged by about, or at least sometimes you feel like that way, or
Yeah,
you
I
have to
do. Yeah.
reprove yourself and things like that. So I think that is another thing, right? Like, you're, so for example, I'm going to, have two or three bosses over the last 3 or 4 months,
That's what kind of started this. Like, how does anybody
and
transition that quickly?
yeah, and so, you're like, you know, even if you have that CEO buy-in of who you are and what you've done and that
Yeah,
kind of
it's
stuff,
from
and it's
everyone
good.
around them.
But now I have a boss, another boss, and another boss. Like it's like, all right, so nobody was around when I started this community and was there to help me to kind of, and then now got to say, redo, rebuild this relationship.
Again,
Okay,
yeah,
next, that person's kind of gone or there, but not my boss. And then now I got to do this again, within 4 or 5 months.
that is
And
incredibly
so
stressful.
it's just not. Look, I say this in public, but it's true. I mean, we all kind of go through some of these things, and it's not easy. They probably know it's not easy either, and hopefully there's some grace in a sense. Not to talk all religious, but hopefully there's some of that, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's religious. I think it's absolutely correct. There has to be a level of I guess I don't know if the word is sway or some tolerance would be the word, right?
Tolerance is good. Yeah.
Yeah. But grace works just as well. I know that when I'm like right now, because we're in the middle of in where what I work is trying to decide the fundamental, you know, IT infrastructure backbone that's going to take us to the next digital level, right?
Yeah.
And we're deep diving, we're getting in there, getting to nitty gritty, and some piece of me goes, "Hey, any one of these solutions would just be a really good
Yeah.
piece." But yet, I think everyone is stressing within their particular,
Mm.
subject matter expertise, and some, there are some deadlines that are not getting met outside of it, but there's a little grace because like, hey, I know you were in a meeting for all week, you've been dealing with all this kind of other stuff, we've been in a lot of a change, trying to address new processes. Yeah, it's a stressful time, and you have to have that human element to know that that's what's going on.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to put the human piece into it. I mean, because we just all want to get this stuff done, and we're just thinking, you need to do this, you need to do this. This person's not getting this. God damn it. Like,
Yeah, chop chop.
so chop chop. And I'm all about chop chop. It's not that I'm
Yes, I
not,
was gonna say you can be a chop chop kind of guy.
but and it's good for me to really think about this too.
It's
Is
like, wait,
you
this
know,
guy's emailed me. What's going on?
why is this person late? God damn it.
Why is this person late? Why is my boss always damn late?
Yeah, jeez.
Sandoval.
Supposed to have this call like 5 minutes ago. Um,
Exactly. Like today, I did the same damn thing. I'll be there in like 4 minutes.
yeah, but no, I don't know. I mean, I think, but I also have to kind of think about that too. Is got to give grace to people. These leaders are also starting new jobs, and they've got to prove themselves, and they've got to change things, and they don't have it all figured out either. You
Yeah.
know, so we all
So we
go through it
started.
together.
I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, go ahead.
We started a conversation just talking about stress and what stress means, and maybe this in the conversation it stirred something in somebody. But we're all humans, so that other person you're talking to is probably just as stressed as you are. Two, we are our own worst enemies,
That's right.
and uh, as we take the deep breath, as they say, to know that it was probably me putting myself under that stress and not that other person.
Yeah,
Uh, but for some of us, the stress is what helps us be successful. I hate to say that because for me, I know that sometimes when I'm under stress is when I do the best job. I hate that. The fact that's kind of a little bit how I work.
I think I'm the same way. Like it helps me
So
to get
you
better.
kind of dig in because you have a grit, right? And I think we probably mutually have this grit thing that says like, no, this is not going to get the best of me. So you kind of dig in and
Yeah, I
dig
think
harder.
I think that's true. Like when we don't know how to do certain things, it's not. I mean, even asking people, it's still not that easy. But um, it's hard and it's stressful. Or if you don't know certain things and you're not clear of, let's say, the future or of where your role is going to exist or be or anything else, that causes stress. And so, but I do my best to try to, do other things like running for me is a stress reliever. Thinking about other things forcefully sometimes
Mm,
other than work, you know, um, making sure I go out with my wife to brunch on Saturdays and
which is fun.
things like
Yeah.
that. Have
Chill
a
and
drink or two,
have a drink or two or
beers,
whatever.
whatever. So I think, you've got to not have to work
Yes.
all the time. And it's
Which means
hard
you're
in
going, yeah, and I
COVID.
heard you're going on holiday this week, right?
Yeah, I'm going to Cancun for
Oh, there you
three
go.
three or so days, in a few days. So I'm pretty excited about that. There's some stresses with that, but other than that,
That's a whole different kind of stress.
yeah, that's a fun stress you have to figure out, but
Do I
it'll be
take my
good.
shorts?
Man, you just went on holiday, right? So
No, it's great. Honestly, that's why I'm in a happy state because everything's fine. Kind of, I
yeah,
have like this like holiday lull, not lull, but like a halo. That's for like a
yeah,
couple days, and then it's just like right back at it. It's
yeah, I
crazy.
love it. I mean, so well, Michael, it's been great,
As always, sir. Thank you so very much. I was about ready to make our transition too, but as once again, one of your hosts, Michael Sandoval.
and I'm Chris Detzel.
All right, Chris. I'll talk to you later.
All right.